It's a job fewer and fewer people want, helping run our elections. A growing number of local election officials here in Arizona and across the country have chosen to retire or just plain quit because of threats, harassment, and unwanted stress. A new report from the cross-partisan political reform group Issue 1 estimates about 55% of the chief election officials nationwide are new to the job since the 2020 presidential election, with the numbers even higher in Arizona. 80% of Arizona counties have at least one new chief election official.
These are not career politicians who are seeking the limelight by and large. These are folks who want to help every American have their voice heard in our elections. And unfortunately, many of them have become targets.
Former election officials say it's just not worth putting their family at risk. I have endured multiple threats. I had a man say he would sit outside my window and watch me. I want to see elections done right, but I can't fix the anger. Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes is not surprised by the Issue 1 report, saying all the bogus allegations of election fraud, campaign lies, and attacks on public servants are taking a toll on our democracy and election system. With so many experienced election administrators walking away, less experienced people are taking their place, and Fontes worries that could lead to more mistakes on Election Day.
The problem that we have is we're in an environment now where a bit of human error, which is pretty easily explained and said, okay, this happened when this should have happened and we're good to go. Now it turns into a giant conspiracy and all these, foreign actors are involved in these nefarious, cabals of secretives, who knows. It's all nonsense when it could just be a little bit of inexperience caused this little issue that we can fix easily.
Fontes is now urging state and federal lawmakers to provide more funding for elections to better protect workers who want to serve the public.
I've been on Capitol Hill lobbying for sustained funding for federal elections. We don't get any federal money for all these federal elections that we've got to put on. They should be helping.
Now, I spoke to another former election official who told me the threats got to the point where she was so scared for her safety, she had to have sheriff's deputies patrol her house. Not what she signed up for, so she resigned.
Yeah, Jason, we all remember those big protests outside campaign or the elections headquarters downtown. Those public servants had to be escorted out under heavy security after 2020. Has this trickled down to the volunteers who volunteer at our local precincts, or is it too soon to tell?
It has to some extent. We've had some elections, but the real test will be next year's presidential election. It's a definite concern to wonder whether people will come forward to work the election if they feel like they could be bullied or threatened. The Secretary of State wants to see more protections for election workers so they feel safe.
Jason, thank you. Let's get a look at that.